Hello, hello. I'm so excited to be talking to Cindy today. Hi, Cindy.
Hey Dana, how are you doing?
Good. Even better now that I see you face to face. We get to see each other every week in our group calls for the most part. I think you've attended pretty much all of them since the beginning. And if you haven't, you've always had like really good reason. There was someone who threw a work, something, calendar, a thing in your calendar that you didn't expect. I would love for you to share a bit about your own journey. Who is Cindy? Where did you come from? What did you go through? What did you struggle with? And up until the point that we met.
Okay,
So, all right. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
absolutely. So my story is really long because I'm 54, but I can think of some truncated ways to tell it to give everybody just an idea of who I am. I didn't think I'd still be on this journey at 54, but it feels great. So I'm in a great place. I think I started, I was an athlete all my life. I swam competitively up until I was 18 years of age. So from 14 to 18, I was in the pool twice a day, lifting 3 times a week, lots of exercise, lots of traveling to meets. And so it was a lot of work, a lot of practice, a lot of work back then. And I think right when I hit, I'd always been big. I like to think of myself as solid. Have a lot of bone structure. I have a lot of muscle mass, just partially it's just my chemistry, right? My DNA, the way I'm built. And I've come to love that because it makes me strong in many ways. So about 12, I think, is when I started putting on a little bit of extra weight. I wasn't so lean anymore. And the coaches started saying, well, you could swim faster if you lost a few pounds, or, hey, maybe, do you want to hit the gym a couple extra times a week or start running maybe? And I was like, oh, and I was noticing I'm bigger than the other girls. I can't share clothes. I can't do all kind of that fun stuff that some of the other girls could do. So family sent me to Weight Watchers at some point in this process. And one aunt gave me a book called When Food is Love. And I was kind of like, what does that mean? I didn't even open the cover. I just kind of put it down and was curious, like, what is that supposed to mean? So I've been on every probably form of diet throughout my life. I could name 5,000 of them. I've done underwater body fat weighing to see how much my body fat was compared to my mass. And so a lot of focus throughout college, throughout my whole adult life on my weight and my body and how I looked compared to others. I was in a sorority in college. And I have some great friends, amazing people that I met through that, but that was hard. You're with 300 other girls that are, all beautiful and amazing in different ways. My roommate was homecoming queen. So I always had this sort of lower self-image. So I've struggled a lot through the years. But this last year, I think I found Dana through a mutual friend, Marnie, who does all the breath work, who lives in my neighborhood. And I don't know, it's one of those things that just was weird and happened on a whim, right? She shared actually the food freedom. And I kind of looked at that. And of course, free gets me, right? I was like, oh, well, I wonder what that's about. Food freedom. That sounds amazing to me. Like because, all I would think about when I'm out with my friends, oh, what am I going to eat? Or am I going to eat more than they eat? Or do I look funny? I'm shoveling chips in my mouth, and I could eat 2 baskets of chips by myself if you take me to a Mexican place. So it was kind of like, wow, I'll just dip my toe in. It's free. It's a week. My work was a little slow at that point. And I was like, I have a little extra time. Let's check it out. And by the end of day 1, I was hooked. I'm like, wow, this spoke to me in so many ways and gave me and hope for what's to come. Because, my doctor basically said to me, you don't see a lot of fat old people. I know that's kind of a harsh thinking, right? But I was like, oh, wow. Okay. That was, well, let me just process some of that. And I'm like, well, okay, well, I really need to change some things. But what do I need to change? I talked to my doctor. She put me on metformin. I'm not a diabetic. Not even my numbers aren't even close to being diabetic, but she's like, oh, try this. Okay. And then she said, well, okay, then let's try Xanax. And I'm like, wait, isn't that, anyway, so I was confused and lost a little bit, not feeling a lot of support until I hit this food freedom. And just the thought that I don't have to be up on keto or the new macros or whatever's out there was like, wow, that's kind of freeing. And I felt really good about that. So as we went along and just walked through food freedom, I just felt like this is where I'm supposed to be right now. And Dana is who I'm supposed to be, like, just connected to in a different way. I love your attitude, Dana, when some of the things you say, and I know I'm sort of flying off topic about my story, but so I should probably stop. I'll save some of
keep
that.
Keep going. It's good. It's good.
Because what I get from food freedom 5 days, oh my gosh, immediately felt some relief from the way I felt about myself through the little things. It was the decluttering, and I continue to do that. And I'm not saying I'm perfect at it, because I am seeing little things slip back into the house that I'm like, where did that come from? Or I was sitting at my desk this morning thinking about, oh, I'm excited to get to talk to Dan today. And I looked down, I'm like, oh, why I'm a little stressed right now? I'm stressed because my desk is a mess, because I've got this big thing at work. And then I'm like, let me just take 2 minutes. Because I'm like a sticky note kind of person, right? But when I'm done with my sticky notes, I crumble them up, but I had them everywhere. So I was like, okay, it took me 2 minutes to clean it off. My space is clear. And I'm like, immediately I could feel this sense of, I can tackle anything because I have this clarity around me. So I'm continuing to do that in a lot of parts of my life. My closets, that again is a little hard because I still have my own goals. So I'm letting go of things that I don't really like or need, or that aren't going to come back in style ever. And then just trying to work through this house. I have a 5-bedroom house. So my husband left me 3 years ago, I think, for his girlfriend, which, I didn't know he had a girlfriend. But when he left his son with me, which is my stepson, and then my 12-year-old or 15-year-old daughter. That was really hard, but honestly, it's the best thing that ever happened to me, because I think, I was in this relationship just doing what I do every day. I take care of people. I, focus on everybody else. I, give everybody what they need. I didn't have my voice. I'm just like, I don't know anything else, but, I bought him out of the house. So I live in this beautiful house, which I'll keep until my daughter graduates high school, and then I'll sell it. But she has a stable place and we've got a great life. And so I've got so much hope and so many things going my way. And just this now just gives me that sense of, wow, I can really take 50 and beyond and be the best me that I can be. So.
Yay! I love it. I love that also, that you are finally getting to that place that you're taking time for yourself. So you are investing the time, you invested the money, you're investing the energy, right? So especially like we've got weekly group calls, it's a reciprocation on our group calls, right? So it's you guys share and then give feedback, like, supporting one another. And I just am so happy when I hear it doesn't matter the age, to be honest with you, especially in your 50s or 60s. And I hear, a few of my clients say, I'm ready to focus on me and not feel guilty about it. And now you're starting to see the beautiful ripple effect that starts to happen, especially because your daughter is so important to you, and how you treat yourself in front of your daughter, you're realizing is really, really impactful.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yes. So one of the things when we were going through pictures, right? I'm like, gosh, I have a million pictures of my daughter. First of all, I made a beautiful baby. She was beautiful. And I see all these great pictures of her. And well, my mom died in the process too. And so I don't have any pictures. I have very few pictures of me and my mother. And so when I was trying to go through Josie's pictures too, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's not a lot of the two of us together. Cause I was always behind the camera taking them because I didn't want to be in front of it. So, and at 13, she hit the whole selfie phase. I'm like, oh, I don't. And she's like, come on, mom. So we would be really silly. And then I'm like, okay, fine. So I do TikToks with her now, and I get in front of the camera, and I'm trying to learn the new fancy one. If you do like country music, there's this she's like fancy like Applebee's on a date night. So it's all this like little, and so I'm trying to learn it, but not that. I was a swimmer, not a dancer. So but it's cute. So we're trying to do that together. And I bought a bunch of Home Goods has the picture things where you can clip the pictures in, and so you can rotate them. So I get them all printed out and I put them up now, and they're all around my house. And so it's super fun for me, I think, to have that and be that connected to her in the way that she connects to people. So that's been one of the other exciting outcomes. My relationship with her has changed a lot in a very positive way.
I love it. I love that you shared that, because there's a lot of women who are going through the roadmap to food freedom, or they start talking to me and they share one of their concerns is about, especially going through the roadmap to food freedom, because I ask you to post a selfie and it's like, oh my God, I don't want to be in pictures, but I would really love if I felt confident enough to be in pictures, because you have those moments of like, wait a second. Now, especially looking back, like, I don't have many pictures of my mom. Well, I don't want to be like that with my daughters looking back and she doesn't have pictures of her mother. What am I doing? And meanwhile, can you see how you, from your perspective, looking at pictures of your mom, do you care what she looks like?
Oh no. The last pictures I have, she had COPD. So she has a thing in her nose,
right.
and she
the oxygen
like,
and
yes. And I'm just like, but I was so happy to be in it and have that with her, because we didn't know she died less than a year later. So having that picture alone is like, oh, and my daughter is in it too. And so there's the three
generations. Oh, I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that part of your story, and this part of like, so you did the roadmap to food freedom.
Yep.
You pretty much gelled after day one of like, okay, I need to continue this. Like, this is fun and exciting, and like, let's keep it going. Yeah. So that's a reminder for the mentorship. And and you
but I started with food freedom in a binder too, because there's so many things that I need to keep reading on it. Like all the little tasks you had in it first. Yes, I was like, I'm good at following directions, and you're like, okay, write it out. I'm like, okay, I wrote it out. And that's great, because I go back and read it. And so that is for my food freedom, for the mentorship. Even I just have the food freedom in here too.
Yeah. Well, it's been, that's why I put it together. It's like it's an on-ramp. It jump starts you, and it builds upon and actually makes all the mentorship, like the mindset course material. It makes it gel a lot easier because you had a little jump start. And you were part of the first round that I actually put it out there. So, so I'm honored that you went through that. You didn't know me before that. And here we are. So that was in May of 2021.
Yep.
And you enrolled in the mentorship. We're recording this in September of 2021. So that is all of June. I can
tell you that story too, right?
June, July, August, September, 4 months in. And look at all, like, we're not even a year into the program. Like, this is only a few months after you just shared that you have been struggling with this for like 40 years.
Yes. And I will say, funny that, because after that, like first week, I was like, gosh, I have so much to learn, and I have so much hope after just a week. And then you offered the next kind of this mentorship. And I was like, in my head, okay, so being sucked into these diets throughout the years, I don't even want to sit down and know how much money I spent like through the years on Weight Watchers, on B12 injections, on Nutrisystem, the food alone, Ideal Protein, all the food, the weigh-ins, oh my gosh, the one where there's an in focus and you get on this machine and you hold it and it tells you your fat
Your body
on your
fat.
left arm versus your fat on your right arm. And I'm like, oh my God, my left arm's fatter than, and anyway, all the money I spent on that. And I was kind of like, oh, here we go again. I'm going to spend money on another like thing. And so I was very hesitant to sign up. If you remember, you and I went back and forth on into Messenger for a little while because I was a little nervous and I was thinking, how is this really going to make a difference? You know, it's kind of, is it just another thing, right? And I called Marnie and I talked to Marnie for a little while and she's like, no, this is kind of the real deal, you know, like this is it, you know, she's like, but do the breath work too, you know?
Yeah.
So I said, okay. And so I said, I'm going to bite the bullet. And I joke in my head, like, oh, that's only 3 sessions of cool sculpting, you know, like.
Well, that's the reality though. I'm really glad that your brain was doing those comparisons because that is the reality of like, hold up, I spent all this money on things that did not actually yield the results, the happiness, the content, the courageousness. We talked about your dog's barking in the back. She's always on the ready to mute. So like all of that stuff we expect to get from those programs and it did not deliver. So I can understand because we're jaded. Let's just be honest. We're all jaded. I also, it's like I've been sold a good, like it's a great marketing out there of like why I need this. And I can understand why women are hesitant to spend this amount of money to invest in themselves. Like there's that trigger of like, this is just going to be more of the same, but it is not more of the same, is it?
That's exactly right. And I was in therapy for years. I mean, I have my own other stories of growing up with a grandmother and those kinds of things that affect my eating. And so some of that comes out, I think, in the mentorship through your discovery of yourself and your judgments and how you approach sort of your eating, right? And so I'm thankful that I had some of that foundation so I understood myself enough. And I would say if this were 10 years ago, I wouldn't have been ready for this, you know, and now I was ready and I thought, okay, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to dive right in. And so that first module came out and I was like, oh my, okay, this is great. And so I've done a lot of things. And what I love about the mentorship program, Dana, is so many things, but like, so I bought my little 5-minute journal, right? And so I do my gratitudes every morning, which I am that kind of person anyway. I'm very grateful for what I have and what I believe and all the people around me. But to actually sit down, because the 5-minute journal is different than I bought a couple others. And quite honestly, I ended up, now this is the one I use. Because at first I was kind of like, oh, I don't want to write. I'm going to write the same thing every day. Well, I don't. And every morning it's something different. But what I like is that reflection back in the evening of, so what would have made today better? Or, you know, and at first I caught myself a couple times. I would write, it would have been better if I would have made good food choices. Right. And so now I'm thinking, you know, my life was so focused differently before. And so now it is more about, you know, wow, my daughter had a great day because I helped her today in the rain. I drove her to the bus stop, you know, whatever. But that started her day off fantastic. She didn't go to school with this, you know, wet hair. But I love that you bring so many other things into the mentorship. It's not just about food. It's about life and other things. I mean, I don't have my cut t-shirt on today, but the things that you've been introducing on even the outside, the outside, like the bra fitting and the money management. There's so many other things that as women that are important to us that you're connecting and helping connect the dots, the books, some of the resources that you guys talk about. And sometimes, you know, I've been writing them down and now, you know, trying to, which ones should I, because at first I was like drinking from the fire hose, like, oh, I'm going to read all 10 of these books.
All of it now. And it's like, oh, wait, pace yourself. One little bit at a time. There's no rush, right? So you could pay, it's self-paced mindset course, right? We have the year together. However, the 12 modules, even though they drip week by week, you take your time through it because you literally need to digest some of that information, right?
and some of it's hard. And I had to pause through one or two just to take a little more time with it because it was hard. It opened up some things that I needed to explore a little more with, friends, or, I'm dating someone who's really supportive of this work, which is really exciting. And be able to talk to him about some of it. And that just made our relationship even closer. Like, he understands that I struggle with this, and here's why, and here's maybe what he can do to support, my journey. But then what can I do to support his? Because his is very different than mine. But how do I be not judgmental of him and saying, why are you eating that? Because that's hard, So all of these pieces together have been huge for me. And I'm still, I think, module 5 right now in my, so I still have some more to go, but I'm picking and choosing what I think I can digest right now. And some of the heaviness of it, I'm reading the Oprah book right now, What Happened to You? And I love that. And it's been great, but I had to put down another book because that one kind of it made me stress. The one big thing too, for me, Dana, one of my huge, and that's probably your last question, like, what have I learned? Right.
Yeah.
The emotions piece of it for me, like, I realized that, I've spent probably 45, 6, 7, 8 years not really understanding how I feel about things. Because growing up, I wasn't allowed to make choices or have feelings. I had to, if you're going to cry, go in the bathroom and turn on the shower. Nobody wants to hear you cry. So I just got used to being like, I'm good. And that was great for me. I survived with that. That was my, like, anything that happened to me growing up, I was like, oh, I'm good. No, it's all good. I'm good. And so now I'm realizing that, wow, like, in relationships, if somebody says, how do you feel? I say, fine. I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to feel anything else. So I'm exploring that, and I have to ask myself some questions. How am I feeling? So the little feelings wheel for me is important, because I'm like, do I feel content, or do I feel a little pissed off right now? But I'm just saying I feel okay. Like, what's really what is my body telling me, and how to listen to my body. And it's a everyday thing. I have to stop and say, okay, why am I feeling, am I really feeling? Like, what is that? I mean, after my first 2 divorces, my mom kept saying, why aren't you angry? And I'm like, why do I need to be angry? So I'm like, oh, okay, I guess, yeah.
You're like,
right.
am I angry? Did I push it down? Did I suppress it? Is this what anger feels like? Yeah. So interesting, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm glad you're talking about the emotion thing, because so many women talk to me about food first, right? And then not realizing, like, wow, here's how I've been conditioned to shut down certain emotions from when I was younger. And look how it has such a ripple effect, and it becomes our normal. Yet it works until it doesn't work. You're like, I survived until you hit this point. Now, you said I was ready to open up because you just didn't want to live that flat anymore, right? It's like, I want more of the nuances and the richness in my life. So I love that you shared that. And the other thing I wanted to also say is that Cindy is part of the group mentorship, but her and I also talk one-to-one once a month. So I do have some private sessions, bundles and things, because it's a way to complement the group work. And it depends on the client, right? So what's nice about the one-to-one? What do you like about that?
It's specialized towards me. Like, when we're in the group, it's great because you can share, and it's such a safe space. And quite honestly, I laugh a lot during those meetings too. Like, the women in there are amazing. And I think we've added some new ones that are fun too. And so it's a nice compliment, but it's not like you get to kind of work on something you get stuck on. You can bring it up and you can talk about it, but with all the folks on the call, you know, it just being one-on-one with you allows me to explore something and get some feedback and, okay, well, this is kind of what I'm thinking. What do you think? And it gives me an opportunity to sort of get your experiences and all these women that you've talked to, how they moved beyond on some of these things. It's sort of almost like a jump start on certain parts of where I'm struggling. And just gives me that kind of thing to look forward to, you know, like, oh, let me write that down. I want to talk to Dina about that. So keep this like running list of things that, oh, let me explore that a little bit more. And maybe I'm not ready for the group with that. Cause again, I came in very new and didn't know many of these ladies who definitely have a nice, you know, easygoing, you feel part of the group. But I also am like, oh, how much am I going to lay on the table right now? You know,
Yeah. You're going to like take a little step at a time, Like, let me just feel it out. Let me test the waters. Like, yeah. And it can be very difficult to share and it's vulnerable, right? It's like, and when you're first starting, like, oh my gosh, all these people who don't know me, I don't know. So it takes a little warming up and a little bit of time to like ease into the group, but you just keep showing up. And sometimes you can show up to the call and just listen, you know? There are times you're like, you know what, I can't talk today, or I don't want to talk today. Can I just listen in? And that is also really helpful. Sometimes that's what we need. It's like, help me get out of my own head. And I want to listen to other perspectives of what's going on. So that way I can get perspective too. So
yeah. And you have offer the 2 different times. And so for me, it's great to be able to take my lunch at work and be able to do that and, you know, listen and jump in. And sometimes I have to jump off at the end. I'm like, dang it, you know, I'm going to miss something. And I think everybody brings such a different lens. It's fun to hear everybody's perspective on this journey, and everybody's is different, and it's okay. Yeah. So I do think the single sessions for me sort of just propel me a little bit more forward, you know, in terms of my journey. And also help me focus a little more on, oh yeah, maybe I should spend a little more time reading that book because that's where I am right now, and then come back to this next chapter. And you don't have to do the chapter as soon as it comes out. You can take your time with it and be ready.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you so much, Cindy. That was amazing. So any final words of like, if there's someone who's watching this, listening to you and really resonating with a lot you have to say, they may be on the fence, right? Like, oh, should I do this? It's just this, you know, what is something advice you would give them to help encourage them and give them hope?
So I have to just say, I would haven't, if I had to do it over again, would I? Absolutely 100%. The value of it is way beyond what you could sort of even piece out. So I did try to like make a case in my mind on how to do this. And I was like, yeah, okay, I can definitely do that. But I mean, your videos for the workouts, and again, like just the other things that we're gaining. I mean, you know, I can't wait to learn more about the roller, that, you know, rolling your muscles, because I'm back at the gym and sometimes I feel tight, and hearing more about that. So the value is well worth it. And quite honestly, between all the money that I've spent and therapy, all those things like rolled up into one, you know, this doesn't even compare. So.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer. I'm trying to make it a no-brainer. I'm trying to make the price point so no-brainer that it's like, but it has to be a point that it kind of stings, because
you want to be invested.
You have to be invested. If it is not, and you're like, I just want to say, the Planet Fitness model of $10 a month, they do not want you to show up to the gym. The reason it's $10 a month is because the business model is about making a shit ton of money by you not showing up. I cannot allow that. So it has to be enough where it's a little bit of a sting, and that you realize, I need to show up. I want to show up because it's an investment. So that's part of the healing and part of the process, you guys.
It absolutely is. And I think you would hear from a lot of my friends that they're excited that I'm doing this, because some of them love to hear about the books and the things that we're reading. They're not quite ready to dip their toe in yet. You know, they're just not ready, but just the culture, and cultures, is that the right word? The friends that I have, there are some that I just know, like, we don't have these conversations because they're not ready. They're still like, oh, well, does she teach you macros? Yeah, no, I don't even know what that is. I don't think I want to know. But I have others that, we talk about, the book, What Happened to Me, or to you. I keep making it about me. What happened to me? So
it is all about you, Cindy. It is all about you.
So I think it's well worth it. Just your workouts, because I'm sitting on the periphery still of that, because I meet some friends at the gym and we have these classes because I love the music. But at some of these classes, I'm watching that Bosu ball one. You might see me there one of these days. So.
Love the Bosu. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so good, Cindy. Thank you for adding that. And thank you for the encouragement to help that woman who is really desperately wanting it to be different. The thing is, this really is different. I promise you it's different. So thank you for that. Thank you for sharing your story. It is so inspiring, and to be and more to come, because we're only a few months in. And that is so exciting. There's a reason I make this program a year long, because it is exciting when you get breakthroughs and ahas, and it is a journey, and it's important to have a group and a mentor to guide you through each season, right? Not only seasons like winter, spring, summer, fall, but also that we hit different seasons and relationships and experiences and events, and between career and family and all this stuff that happens throughout a year, that this mentorship work is meant to be integrated in your life. The last thing I want is for you to just do the course, bang, 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 and not implement it in your life. So that is why Cindy's on module 5, 4 months in. It goes to show you how important it is to self-pace, and that you're exactly where you need to be, and that I'm here to nurture and support you where you're at, to help you to the next step, That's it. So. Yep. Yeah. Well, thank you for that today, Cindy. So I just want to leave, if anyone has questions for Cindy, or maybe wants to reach out to her directly, if there's something she shared today, would it be cool if they reached out to you on Facebook? Or
Absolutely. I think there's a few women in the group that I definitely, as I hear their stories or I hear them share things, I'm like, oh gosh, Colleen and I might have so many things to talk about. So absolutely, if there's things that people need to know or just want to, a little bit more information, I'm happy to share.
I love it. Thank you so much. Okay, fantastic. So we really hope you join the mentorship. It is just such a fun ride, ups and downs. And the good thing is you don't have to do it alone. We got your back through the tears, through the laughter, through all of those nuances. So that's what's so exciting about it. And we really hope you join us. Okay. Thank you, Cindy. All right. I'll see you next time.
Okay. Bye.